Hi, what a great thing we're doing here. And all these faces look so familiar. Welcome, everybody. So there's a transportation fund item on this website, which is great because that just recently got introduced to the Science by Nature actions. And so a teacher can actually get on here, get on the website, and hit that hot link and find out how to apply for transportation subsidy, which we have recently put together. It was launched in February. So let me give you a little background on that. The collaboration came together roughly 2.5, 3 years ago. And as we got going and developed our mission to help support and empower the environmental education providers and environmental education in general in the South Bay, and I guess pretty much the greater Bay Area, as it turns out. We decided we needed to get input from people. We couldn't just do this in a closed box kind of a way. So we had a couple of panel meetings where we brought in first the nonprofits to share with us their challenges and their successes, and it was quite successful, day-long meeting that gave us a lot of insight on what was going on with regard to the providers. And then what we found from that meeting was that we really needed to bring in teachers and then kind of get those two groups together and look at the challenges and see how we might, as a collaborative unit, be able to start hitting away at those challenges and making it easier for basically students to get out and get nature-based science education. So one of the things that kept coming up, and it was sort of subtle at first, was, you know, what are the problems? Well, we don't have enough money, we don't have enough staff, we don't have enough bandwidth. But we kept coming back to this one item, which was we can't get the kids to the sites. So as we developed the Science by Nature program with the EVs and the other groups involved, what we found very quickly was there was a lot of resource-limited schools that simply couldn't go on field trips because they didn't have the money for bus transportation. Teachers will, you know, put a campaign together, get funding from the adults and some funding from the school and some matching funding, and at the last minute would cancel a program. And in fact, there was a couple of our nonprofit providers where there was a very high percentage of these schools that had booked programs with them, and then at the very last minute couldn't make it because they didn't have the funds for the buses. So this is a big surprise to us, but it seemed like an easy problem to tackle. So we got together and we said, how can we put together a way for basically bus transportation subsidy for these resource-limited schools? And, you know, the future really holds how can we get kids out to field trips just in general. So we put together a two-phase program, and it's one of the real successes, and I'm very proud to be up here talking about it from a collaborative point of view, because we did a group grope and we said, how do we do this? And we looked at the Science by Nature platform and we said that would be a great platform to use. We talked to a variety of different transportation providers. We had dreams about building a biobus farm, and there was a couple of us in the collaborative that started thinking about getting our Class B license to drive buses, and you know, that was sort of out there. But we came together as a group, and as a group, we have committed to $100,000 in this two-phase program, which goes through school year 2013. It was kicked off in February. We're going to provide bus transportation with 180 buses, and the cost of the bus as an average is about $500 per trip. And we're using the Science by Nature platform, or you might say the Environmental Volunteers has offered to help manage this, so that when a student, when a teacher gets on this site and they're planning their trip, just like Alan took you through with all the different choices, they can then go and press on the transportation fund, fill out an application. There are some qualifications that are required to get the bus subsidy, and get a bus subsidy, and in many cases may get the entire trip paid for through this subsidy, if not quite a bit of it, so that it's a lot less of a burden on a teacher and or a classroom or a school to be able to get their students out to a field trip and engaged in this kind of a learning experience. And I have to say, just in closing, that on the way here today, I was driving by an elementary school. It was pretty early. It was about 7:30. And here's these 3 buses all lined up on the street, and all these kids all lined up, getting ready to go on these buses with their little knapsacks, and the teachers were there, and the parents were there, and you could just feel the energy and the excitement. I mean, these kids were going on probably an all-day field trip, and I just thought it was so appropriate that I'm on my way to be part of this organization in this group meeting and talk about the transportation fund, and here it is happening right in front of my very eyes. And that was obviously not maybe one of our subsidized buses, but it was just that excitement and that energy that really got me. So the future of this could be that everybody gets to go on a field trip. We'd really like to see that. And the other part of the future could be corporate sponsorship. And then we develop it out into private sponsorship. So anybody that wants to give from a philanthropic point of view could just add money to a bus subsidy fund, and we could have everybody in the Bay Area going on field trips and going on multiple field trips, and there wouldn't be this issue of a one-of. So we're very excited about this. We're very proud of it as a collaborative doing it, and we hope that our nonprofit providers that are here today will see kids showing up more often, that they won't have cancellations, and for those of you who are in the teaching business, we'll take a little bit of the hassle out of it for you so that you can get your kids out to these sites. Thank you very much.
One of the things that's interesting about the collaboration on the Transportation Fund is the incredible enthusiasm on the part of transportation providers. And we've been particularly talking to Michael's Transportation, who's been incredibly generous in their time and efforts to make this work.